What's up, everybody? Coffee break back with another video. Just based on the title of the video, you know where this is going. 49ers have their practice squad. 49ers have brought some players back, released some players. Let's talk about all of that and what happened on a Wednesday afternoon. So, Trey Sermon being cut by the 49ers. Can't say it caught me by surprise, though I will say keeping him initially on the 53 did catch me by surprise. The release of Jermichael Hasty, I hope it doesn't come back to haunt them. I really love Hasty, but I feel maybe slightly, knowing that Trey Sermon, the plan wasn't to keep him here, at least initially. This is what I'm thinking. But so the 49ers released Trey Sermon, and as we all thought, maybe, they were going to give him another opportunity here to redeem himself. He is a third round pick last year, and I knew that this was going south for Trey Sermon just based on the level of play he was getting in the preseason. And I must say I wasn't really all that impressed, right? Jordan Mason really stood out. He's a rookie, undrafted. The guy just had a spark about him. He's physical, just runs like his hair's on fire, really hard to tackle. And Kyle definitely appreciates that. And I think the entire NFL does, and which is why it would have been almost laughable to release a player like that. Like, he hasn't seen much. He hasn't seen real, like, NFL snaps yet, and we will see what he's all about here pretty soon. But you release a player like Jordan Mason, he's getting picked up quickly. We saw it with Jermichael Hasty, and the NFL's keeping track of Kyle's running backs because everybody knows he has an eye for undrafted running backs. Maybe not so drafted, especially high. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but Jermichael Hasty getting picked up by Jacksonville. We all knew he was going to a team. It was just a matter of which one. Jacksonville it is, and he's landing in a good spot. He's definitely going to get some playing time down there. So you just hope that it wasn't a mistake. And though I think the Niners are in good shape right now, Elijah Mitchell, we have Ty Davis Price, who I want to see more of. That's the one guy who's probably the fourth on the depth chart when we're talking about running backs. Jeff Wilson Jr., of course, and Jordan Mason. And we're going to see. So Trey Sermon is now removed from the equation. We'll see what happens with him. I'm sure a team will claim him. But it just from the beginning, it wasn't a good fit, right? He comes here and literally week 1, we're playing the Detroit Lions in Detroit. And we have Raheem Mostert go out like something ridiculous, like the second, third play of the game. Like, it was literally the start of the season. Like, we forget Raheem Mostert did not see anything past the first drive of the year, which was a huge bummer. Just imagine what he could have brought if, how far the Niners went without Raheem Mostert. Just speaks to Shanahan's in his offense. But anyways, he goes down, and then everyone's like, damn, like, who's going to step up now? Trey Sermon time? No, it was Elijah Mitchell who really shined through. And Trey Sermon got his opportunity because Elijah Mitchell also deals with a lot of injuries. His running style is not all that sustainable, which I think it's important to have all of these second and third running back type of dudes that you may need to start, like Jeff Wilson Jr. We may need to rely on him to start. It's kind of been the history with Shanahan, but he has so many that it just doesn't phase that group. Like, if one guy goes down, we're confident in Jeff Wilson Jr. Hell, some people are confident enough to have Jordan Mason start and be like, all right, get us some decent carries this game. Not we're not talking about like 4 or 5 games in a row, but at least for one game on a short week, Jordan Mason can do that for you. And so Trey, like I said, Trey Sermon got his opportunity. I can't really think off the top of my head which game it was, but it was just like it wasn't encouraging at all. Like it was like, man, this guy has so much work to do. Maybe he was dealing with an injury. We don't know. But just that first taste of Trey Sermon last year, it wasn't good at all. And then he didn't get much playing time after that. He kept falling down the depth chart, kept falling down the depth chart. And we're like, when are we going to see Trey Sermon? We have all these injuries at running back, and he's not even getting some playing time here. Like, these are major injuries that the Niners had last year. He didn't get much playing time. So here we are, second year of Sermon. But going to the draft this year, then we have, the 49ers take Ty Davis Price, 4th round. And you're thinking, wait a minute. I know we lost Raheem Mostert, but we still have Mitchell. We still have Hasty, Jeff Wilson Jr. None of these guys are taking major cap space. What's the deal? What's the problem with Sermon? Right? Like that. Those are 4 really good groups. Maybe you take a guy undrafted or whatever the case may be, but drafting another running back 4th. Then there was some speculation, of course, that Debo didn't want to be, I guess, used the same way this year as he was last year. Maybe he just got tired out. But honestly, I think that had nothing to do with this move. It had everything to do with we're just not sure about Sermon. And so you're like, okay, you take that. Maybe you trade one of the key guys like Hasty, Jeff Wilson Jr. have been here for quite some time. And nothing. Nothing. They ended up keeping, obviously, Jeff Wilson Jr., releasing Hasty. They were comfortable in letting him go. And I guess maybe there was some gamesmanship here with Sermon, but I'm curious how the 49ers handled that. Did they make it clear to Sermon like, "Hey, we're keeping you here, but if we find something else, like don't be surprised." Because if they didn't, if they're just like, "Hey, you made the 53," and then the next day you're like, "Hey, actually, we're gonna release you because we found a better player and area we truly need," and so my bad, we're sorry. So I'm just curious, like if I'm a member of the media, I would kind of ask that question if I had the opportunity. Like, how did you guys handle that Sermon situation? Because he was first um, on the 53 man. And then the next day he's released. So how are those conversations like? Is it an open conversation? Like, you're good for now, but don't be surprised if we move you here within the next couple days. And so, yeah, I'm just curious. I'm wondering what you guys think about the Trey Sermon situation. Again, it doesn't surprise me that he's been cut. Like, it just sucks because I was really rooting for him and I loved the pick 2 years ago or a year ago, 2 drafts ago, I should say, 3rd round. I love that pick. I don't think that the 49ers regret it. It's just part of the game, man. Some players work out, other players don't, and that's just part of it. I can't really explain more if there's more to that, to be honest with you. But just Sermon just couldn't get things going here. Couldn't get things going in SF. And again, I'm pretty sure a team will claim him. Is just a matter of who. And maybe it was a system thing. We just don't know. But if Shanahan can't get you right, then we'll just wish you nothing but the best moving forward. So again, Trey Sermon, that was one move, but the 49ers needed to fill in a roster spot at that point. So what they ended up doing initially, because I was keeping track of this in a timely manner. So they picked up Blake. What do we have here? Blake Hance. From my understanding, he played for I wanna say Cleveland. Wanna say he played for Cleveland. He's a guard, could play tackle. He has that versatility like a lot of these guys. I mean, Brunskill, McKivitz, um, I mean, Burford maybe. Like, all of these guys have that versatility of, "Oh, I could play guard. I'm big enough to play guard." Um, sorry, I move quick enough to play guard, but I'm also big enough to play tackle. And so, like, you have those things, or maybe I just twisted that around, right? Like, I'm quick enough to play tackle, big enough to play guard because you need, big, strong guys to play guard. But, like, the Niners clearly loved him because I thought he was initially getting added to the practice squad when it was reported that they, uh, that they got him, they claimed him. So I think that was um, one of those moves where the Niners knew that they had landed one of their guys that maybe felt like they needed, especially with offensive line being a little sketchy here. The guard position primarily, if McGlinchey comes back healthy, sorry, excuse me, I think we should be good there at tackle. But it was really the guard spot. And with Blake Hens, I mean, he has that ability to play guard and tackle. So they released Justin School, who just did not get it done. Last year he got hurt, but this year was just a money year. Like, okay, School, you're either going to be a great backup tackle or it's not going to work out, and it clearly did not work out. So they signed him. Um, I just haven't watched him play, so I can't really tell you much about it. But all I can tell you is they loved him enough to cut ties with Sermon, and add him to the roster. And so it just brings some security to that spot. And I hope he's able to produce and make this a stronger, better unit. It's all we can rely on here, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're putting the trust in these guys to make the right choice. And, I think cutting Sermon was a given to begin with. And so to me, it just doesn't bother me, this move at least. So that happens. Now, there is a move that did bother me first when they released Tariq Castro Fields, because I felt like he had a lot of upside. That was a corner from Penn State. So I love his game. I think he could have brought maybe um, similar to Lenore, like playing nickel, but also can play corner type of deal. I just felt like they already had Lenore, so do they really need a Tariq Castro Fields? They're already deep at the position, and honestly, I felt like they could have maybe stashed him in the roster, found a spot for him. He would have been a clear practice squad guy, but he was never gonna, you know, uh, reach practice squad because I feel he belongs on someone's 53 man. And yeah, that's one I just hope that it just doesn't bite the Niners in the ass. Like the DJ Reed thing, I was thinking about this the other day. He's with the Jets now. DJ Reed, to me, I would have never thought that DJ Reed would be just this good corner. DJ Reed, remember, he was I think the Niners drafted him back in 2017. And um he would switch around. I think he would play corner. I think he would play some safety. The Niners, I don't think they knew what to do with him. Like, he was returning kickoffs, right? He was like, back in 2019, he was a backup and, you know, uh taking some kickoffs, I think. And so when the year 2021, I want to say, so last year, so it was, when did the Niners release DJ Reed? Well, either way, whenever they let him go, I'm just like, I mean, he's a good backup, right? I didn't think he would be like this starter type of dude, but credit to him, He took that opportunity and said, "Nah, like I deserve to be in this league." And he worked his way to Seattle. You see how well he played last year for Seattle. I would have never imagined that, man. Like it really um I'm impressed, number 1, and at the same time I'm like a dude that I felt like was so raw here with the 49ers, and the Niners didn't know really what to do with him at that point. They they literally, well, he, to his credit, worked his way up, got a got a spot, got a job, and never looked back. Has never looked back. And so he's he's with the Jets now. So maybe Saleh regrets not using him better, but he's back with Saleh, and I'm interested how that goes. But kind of ties down to me like the moral of the story is just you just don't know how a player is going to become, and it kind of ties back to Trey Sermon because I'm like this player is going to be super good, and then turns out being disappointing, not doing nothing. I think he only had 1 touchdown with the Niners last year, so you just don't know how things are going to end up. It's kind of a weird thing, and the Niners have been all full of weirdness since since the land of time, since the Shanahan era for sure. So Tariq Castro Fields, like I said, I'm so high on his upside that I'm thinking, I hope the Niners didn't make a mistake. Like this guy can really be a good corner, like a really good starter. But at the same time, I'm thinking I've been wrong so many times that like it could just be uh like something I'm just fantasizing about, like a player I see something that I truly like. Maybe I like styles and that tricks my mind. It's like it's weird. So, that's just one that, I wish him nothing but the best, like Castro Field, but at the same time, I'm just like, I just don't want you to do too good because we could have had you here. Anyways, so another exciting news that I really love is Jordan Willis is back with the 49ers, and he's back on the roster, baby. He is on the 53. Forget about practice squad. He's on the roster, fam. So, I love Jordan Willis. I loved him since they brought him here in 2020. I love everything about him. The way he handles himself. I mean, he doesn't say a word, but when you call his number, he's going to produce. He's not going to make mistakes. He is a very reliable and a very smart football player. And I love those. I love those under the radar type of dudes who can and has won you a playoff game. Like that is super valuable. That is something that, you know, not a lot of people can say. Not a lot of people can say like I ah, I have won you a playoff game single-handedly. And Jordan Willis did that last year against the Packers. There's not another player who can really say that. He flipped that game upside down, and the Niners never looked back. Like, if it wasn't for that block punt, Niners are I can say they're going home. They're not going to the NFC Championship game. And they should have lost that game. They should have lost against the Packers. I don't care what anybody says. We played like crap. I mean, Jimmy played like crap. He wasn't playing well. But it was one of those like scratch and claws type of games. Like those games where nobody was playing well, like because of the weather, everybody was cold, like nobody could get in a rhythm. But like the way Green Bay started, it was so discouraging to watchers. That's like holy bleep, because they're just going through this defense, like walking, just marching down. And they were doing that, and then Fred Warner punches it out. And then that turned it, you know, pretty balanced. But the Packers had a lead. So it wasn't for Jordan Willis. That's why I love him. And I'm glad he's back on the roster. So, you know, Bearing any injury, I expect him to be solid there, and I'm sure the group loves having him back. The 49ers also brought in another, I wanna say another tight end, or am I tripping? Yeah, Tyler Croft. They brought in Tyler Croft. So we have 4 tight ends on the roster. Kittle, Croft, Warner, and Ross Dwelly. You don't think the Niners are gonna do some running this year? Like, you have 4 tight ends. You don't think you're gonna get a lot of 2 set tight ends, fullback, running back, Lance? It's gonna get crazy. I just can't wait to see what Shanahan really dials up here, because I feel he wanted to get the running back group stronger. This was a huge test for Sermon, which I think he failed, but it was one of those things of like, I want to run, I want to keep running down your throat type of thing. And with Lance being that dual threat, I think he just wants to stick to run, takes the pressure off of Lance significantly. Kind of like how it was with Jimmy 2019. Mostert, Breida, Tevin Coleman. He was Coleman, but like, run, 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 run. So, yeah, man, I'm just curious how the 49ers are gonna look this year. I think they're gonna run the ball heavy, and, I'm excited. This is the deepest I think the Niners have been since Shanahan. We looking at corner being deep. I mean, you let go of Tariq Castro-Fields, for God's sake. In other years, he's probably your backup, if not starting. Like, let's be honest, especially with injuries coming in. But I mean, corner's looking great. Linebackers, you have never complaints. Defensive line, no complaints. Safety is one of those of like, okay, Ward is down. He is your best safety. But at the same time, like, you can win games with like George Odom or Tarvarius Moore back there. Like, I'm comfortable enough. And George Odom has played phenomenal. Like, he's practiced well. Like, we saw some practice plays. I mean, I know it's just practice, but if there's an opportunity to make plays, he's making them. Like, nobody else can claim that, right? Trey Sermon can't claim that. Like, if we're just gonna negate that as just practice, well, Trey Sermon wasn't practicing well. Like, so yeah, man. Like, I feel like you'd be okay riding with Odom for 4 games and then having Ward. Like, obviously, if Odom was just your starter all time, then you'll have a significant need. But the 49ers have found their way of getting through games in similar situations. So I'm comfortable there. And with D'Amico Ryans at the helm, I'm more comfortable because I know he's going to dial up some exotic looks, some blitzes coming off the edge. We saw it in preseason. I feel like we're going to get a sprinkle of that here and there. Not nothing crazy, but he's really building his own defense, and I'm super excited about that. Offense, I mean, best quarterback room. Is that the best quarterback room in the NFL, right? Best backup quarterback for sure. Running back, Elijah Mitchell, Jeff Wilson Jr., Ty Davis Price, Jordan Mason has to be super talented, uberly talented. And, we're still yet to see about those last two, Ty Davis Price and Jordan Mason. They could really take this to a whole nother level, or they can just be bust. And now we're crying for Trey Sermon to come back. Debo Samuel, we have IU, Danny Gray. Those are our top 3 right there. I think those guys could go up against anyone's top 3 and bode well. George Kittle, top 2 tight end, in my opinion. Kyle Juszczyk, top fullback. Trent Williams, top tackle. Where we do get a little I guess, We do have a lot of questions. Is that center and guard? But, who doesn't in the NFL? I look at this team and I'd be surprised if the 49ers don't win at least 10 games. They have to win, right? They have to win at least 10 games. So I think that's the low mark. And I think at the highest, want to go 12. 12. 12 at the highest. But, anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all for watching. If you watched it all the way here, I appreciate you. You, the man, or the woman, whoever the case may be. I don't discriminate. But, anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. And as always, we'll see you on the next one, guys.